So welcome back to another episode of DecoyNoise, and Am I the Antagonist in Am I the Antagonist for screaming at my birth mom and sick sister when they found me? So if you're new to the channel on DecoyNoise, I'm asking that you guys subscribe down below because this is the only place that you're going to be able to get the best Am I the Antagonist stories. We're going to get some decoy quote with my feedback on the situation. Then we're going to go over some of the very valuable top comments, then those insane controversial comments, and then at the very end we're going to do some decoy deliberation, take everything to account for, and then just kind of give our sentencing. Like what should be the punishment for the person that is the actual antagonist in the story. So stick around for the entire video, but let's just get into this story right now. And you know what? Before we do this, let me kind of give a disclaimer on the situation. I was adopted, born into a foster home. I don't know my birth mother or my half siblings, so I'm gonna have a very biased opinion of this story, but let's read on. So OP starts us off saying, note, I was almost 24 and living in the dorms as an advisor while in grad school. She had just turned 23, so we have less than a year apart. So she is not a child and neither am I. So the story says, I was adopted before I was born and put into the arms of my adopted dads when I was an hour old, and my birth mom had disappeared from the hospital already. I grew up happy. I didn't want for anything. I was all successful and fine. It was good in my hood. Good. My birth mom recently arrived in my campus dorm with my younger birth sister because apparently my younger sister is pretty sick and needs a kidney and a lobe of a liver to survive. We have the same father, so we're a blood match and we should be a perfect donation match, as well as it doesn't matter because I don't owe anyone crap and I'm not giving up parts of my body that I effing need. Okay. Man, I blew the F up. They were standing on my doorstep like they had some sort of right to even find or speak to me, and I blew up. She had the audacity to bring her child who, if the number runs right, was born exactly 10 months after me. She gave me up for adoption and then found me without my permission or consent because her child was sick, and she thought that because I was her blood that she had the effing right to ask me for parts of my body for her baby. If I wanted to give my kidney and a lobe of my liver away, I would. No need to turn up and try to guilt me. Yeah, they put her on the spot. I screamed that she did not have the right to ask me for anything, that she was disgusting, that I've never met her in my life, and yet she's trying to ask me for parts of my body, that she was a waste. And that by having more children after me, she'd put me up for adoption, she'd gotten rid of the right to ask me for anything. Am I bitter about being adopted? Out? No. But I take offense to being hunted down and found by a woman who birthed me then dipped. I had lots of issues from the fact that she drank during her pregnancy with me, and now that I'm older, I've shaken them off. The birth sister said, I'm dying, and I said, that sounds like a personal issue. Shut my door, called campus police, and then put all my social media to private and locked everything down. No need to have anyone else trying to find me. I recently told my dads that said that I was a TA because I was the antagonist because I shouldn't have blown up, and she was the bigger antagonist because she arrived from Atlanta, where I was born and where she lived, to UC Berkeley, where I go to school. No heads up to anyone. I've also been getting messages from my birth family begging me to reconsider, sending me long letters, but I don't care. I need those parts of my body and I don't owe anyone anything. If anyone is wondering how they found me, I'm a college blogger and I have social media filled with information about me. It wouldn't be hard to find me at all. This happened back in September of 2019 and I'm not sure what's happened to them since because I blocked and cut them all off. Okay, so before we get to her edit and the updated information, like I say, we're going to take the decoy quote where I'm going to give my knee-jerk reactions. Typically these are very not informed decisions. I'm just kind of giving my 2 cents. But right here, so since I was also adopted and I have no access to my birth family or anything, and I actually was able to, through create a system, able to find like my foster home, my birth parents, and just like rough information about them, and did find out that there is something kind of similar where like, you know, I have half siblings that are ill, but it's like we're not a match. We only have like share one mother, and I think like giving the match with oh, I'm gonna mess this up right now, but like it's a very low percentage you're gonna be the match, especially if you're even more so if you're half siblings. So it's like, you know, I'm not the same situation as this right here, but honestly, it's like I said before in other videos, if you've kind of got to know me, is I really have no attachment to my birth parents. Like, yes, that's important or whatever, but it's like I have a mom, I have a dad, I have a family, you know, like I have a situation where I was adopted over in the States, and this is where my roots are. Like yes, I'm Korean, but you know, I have a very loose sense of a connection. Like, I'm sure if it was the situation arose where I was able to meet my birth like mother and family, or yeah, I guess mother and like half siblings, that'd be kind of cool. But it's not like I'd be like, hey, cool, I found you, hey, check it out, I got this cash, I got this, like, you know what I mean? It's not gonna be this big thing where I'm like giving them money or gifts or whatever, as if I would do if I saw, like, you know, my adoptive family, my adoptive siblings and nieces and nephews. Like, I like to give them stuff because they're family. The birth thing, I know a lot of people like to say the whole blood is thicker than water situation, but I just don't feel that as much. And just the idea that they travel from across the country unannounced to try to guilt OP into giving her like parts of her body, like going through extensive surgery. And it's not like she's gonna be able to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna finish grad school this year. Like, if she has that surgery, if I'm not mistaken, she's gonna be put out for like the year. She's gonna take something out. It's gonna take a long time for her body to adjust, and there's a slight like mortality rate, what's the word phrasing, but there's a slight chance that she could die from the surgery. And just the idea that it's like they showed up and they expected it and they wanted to push her, and they had the like extended family reaching out to her in social media. It's like, I could see what's happening here. OP is very comfortable having her dad's, her new adoptive family. She's doing good. She never had a need. It's okay. And she's saying that this doesn't bother her, that she was given up as a baby and the mom took off or whatever. But when she sees it face to face, and it's rubbed in her face in the sense that, hey, we didn't want you, but you know what? Right after we didn't want you, we did want this other baby. And then, you know what? Like, I don't want to say she was unwanted, because she did have a family, but the situation is just the fact that once you threw it in her face saying, hey, look, we didn't really want you at all, and then now that we need you, now we're willing to visit you. It was never like, hey, I want to reconnect with my other like biological daughter. It was just, they only care about the second daughter. They only care about the one that's sick. Like, when it came to raising her, they only cared about her, not OP. And then when it came to sickness, it's not like, hey, are you willing to do this thing? Are you okay with it? Like, I understand the risk or whatever. It was just like, no, we're gonna freaking barge on your door, travel the entire country to see you, not because we care about you, not because you're family, but because we have something to gain from you. So OP's trying not to say that it bothers her, but it bothers her so much, and it's like, that's why she's blown up the way she did. So in the case of, is OP the antagonist here? No, the birth mother is the antagonist for putting her through this situation. Like, there's a much better way to go about this. And honestly, the thing is, though, is you don't want to punish the little sister, but it's not their place to say, hey, look, just because we happen to be siblings, I'm entitled to your organs or what. So it's a very soft, not the antagonist, but stop the video, let me know your comments, let me know your knee-jerk reactions before we get those top comments and also those controversial comments. And like I said, every single time we do a video, I'm gonna give that one decoy coin, because it's very hard to say, but a good comment that makes me laugh, makes me mad, makes me sad, makes me change my mind. On the DecoyNoise website, I will kind of award you guys something that will give you early access to other content. I don't know what it might be, but just, yeah, give me your thoughts, because I got thick skin, I don't care, change my mind, tell me I'm wrong. But let's get back to the story. So the edit says, some of you seem to think I could have in fact give the donation. I could not. I have a lot of issues from my mom being an addict and an alcoholic when she was pregnant, and there's no way in heck I could donate anything without risking my own health. So that just kind of compounds a situation where it's the mother's fault to put OP in this situation. Now OP actually has like more dire circumstances in trying to save the sister. So it's like, you know what? In a vacuum, anybody would say like, hey, you gotta save a life. If you can save a life, especially if they're family, you got to. But in this circumstance, you can't really blame her for not wanting to do it. Like, now let's say on the opposite end, like I always try to give everybody a fair perspective. I got really sick, and all of a sudden I needed like a kidney and I forgot what they said, but I needed I needed a kidney replacement, and I was like, hey, look, the match is my half siblings all the way in Korea that I'd never met, and I flew all the way over them. Like, hey, look, check it out. There's a better way to go about this, but I'm going to die if I don't get this from you. I guess I would hate this because I'm not in the situation. I hate to say like, you know what, I just accept my death or whatever, because I don't know if I would or not. Maybe I'd be that desperate to fly over there and go over there and just try to convince them, try to hit them up on social media like, hey, please help me, please, you're my only hope or whatever. So in that situation, if I was on the other side, I'd like to say that I would accept the idea that it's like I'm not entitled to somebody else's hardships, but you know what? If it was gonna potentially kill that person, I probably would be more understanding. But you know what? It's hard to say. So let's get to some top comments to get some good perspective on this. So the top person says, not the antagonist, not the antagonist, not the antagonist. Is this Beetlejuice where if they say it 3 times in the mirror and turn around, no antagonist will show up or OP will show up? Let's see. So you were taken by complete surprise by your birth mom, which would produce a flood of emotions, no matter what. But to find out that she immediately got pregnant again and then had the nerve to ask you to donate organs, F that. She only contacted you because you wanted something. Now that she's desperate, I get that, but you owe her nothing. How could you not be flooded with emotions? And that's the thing, is like, how could she not... She has some closeted resentment towards the mother. She's living her best life, so that's good. But then if you throw it in her face and also reaffirmation that you were not like wanted in this situation, of course she's gonna blow up. Of course it's gonna come out there. Of course she's gonna slam the door and make everything private or whatever. Like, what was the other person gonna expect? Like, oh my God, birth mom, you're here. Of course I might die for you. Like, I get it, but let's look at a reply. Not only that, but OP donated could put herself at risk, and her body couldn't handle it. And then there's no way an ethical doctor would sign off on it unless OP was 1,000,000% on board, which is very true. Let's look at the next top comment. I'm going to say not the antagonist. If you have reconnected with them before they suddenly showed up on your doorstep, my verdict would have been everyone sucks here, but they effectively stalked you to discover your location and found exactly where you were living at the time without considering your feelings about meeting your birth mother and sister. They have no right to show up one day begging for parts of your body when they don't even know you like that. Very true. Let's look at a reply. Not the antagonist. Even if they all have reconnected, it would be the same verdict. And I guess there would be a good way to go about this in the sense that they could have reached out with a heartfelt letter, say, hey, look, we don't know you, blah, blah, we're the birth parents, your sister is ill. Please take all the time you need, but know that this is time sensitive because she is ill. Would you ever be open to consideration for being a donor or checking if you're the match? And if they warmed her up like that, chances would probably still slim that OP was going to give it, given her medical condition or health condition, but it would be infinitely better than this. Maybe they could even have a good relationship. Like if she's not willing to give the organs because she's such a high risk donor, at least they could have had a family connection. Maybe they could have talked. Maybe they could have like established something before the sister, you know, succumbed to her illness. So I guess there's really no situation where I could see that they're actually getting the organs the way they want it, but they could have done it a way where they weren't so much the antagonist. Like, no antagonist here instead. But like I said, drop your top comment down below and give me your subscriber sentencing. Like, what would you do? What would your punishment be for them in your perspective down there? And like, we can kind of go over that in the comments, because I do read all the comments I get. Sometimes the system doesn't show me what it's saying, so it's hard for me to see. But I mean, if you leave a comment, I by and large try to read it. But let's look at those really fun, I don't want to say fun because it's a sad situation, those very insane controversial comments, because this is gonna be more of a different perspective. So a super light, everyone sucks here. Your birth mom is, of course, the huge antagonist, and you don't owe anyone parts of your body, even if you already have, especially if you already have medical issues. The only place where you went a bit amiss is when you attacked your biological sister. She didn't ask to be born, probably wasn't told the true history of your adoption, and hasn't done anything to you. She's probably just scared and desperate, having to face her own mortality so young. That doesn't at all mean you owe her your organs. Just maybe in your anger, you placed her as the enemy when she doesn't need to be. And the thing is, like, that got a controversial reply. That was what was it, 113 points, but got a lot of downvotes as well, because people couldn't decide whether this was the right thing or not. And the thing is, it's understandable that OP blew up like that, but it is true that, you know, the whole little sister saying, but I'm dying, like, she's desperate, she's never seen it, this is such a hard situation for her, and she might not even know the situation with, like, you know, the OP having medical conditions. She's just thinking that she's being selfish, and can't, you know, most 22-year-olds can't see beyond their own perspective. They're like, you know, we're inherently selfish, and they haven't learned that yet, so that's fine. But I also still don't blame OP for reacting the way she did. It's, if anything, it's just the birth mother is the antagonist, because she put everybody in a terrible situation. Drank while she was pregnant with OP, gave OP up, and then also, like, you know, drove the daughter out there to pretty much face her mortality face to face with her sister, saying, we can fix you, all we gotta do is make OP agree to it. So it made OP the bad guy. It made OP the difference between life and death for the sister. So it's like, No, I can't. It's hard because I'm so biased in this situation, but I can't blame OP for saying this to the sister. Yes, it was a sad thing to do, and it's a sad thing for the sister to go through it, but it's not her fault. Not the sister's fault, not OP's fault, just the birth mother. So the next reply is, well, OP's anger wasn't really aimed at the sister, was it? All OP said is it sounded like the sister's sounded like it was a sister's personal problem, and at this point, isn't it OP's issue? Everything else was directed towards the biological mother. OP didn't attack the bio sister, and can you really blame OP? Bio family shows up out of nowhere with a huge plea. How emotionally shocking would that be? Did they reply? And then their reply was, I think telling a young dying girl sounds like a personal problem is pretty cold. It's not OP's issue to fix, but having some compassion didn't hurt anyone. I don't know, blame OP for being angry or honestly, even what they said sounded like a really upsetting and emotional moment, and OP is also really young. Just putting it into perspective that she's not the only one hurting here, which is true. It's kind of like, you know, you can't always say be the bigger person because they're essentially the same age. Like, it's a hard situation. The only thing I would say is the whole, like, that sounds like a personal problem is pretty cold, and I could see this as just OP trying to defend herself, because if she, I don't want to say humanizes, but, you know, if she starts to see them as people instead of, like, you know, people that are trying to mooch off them, she might start feeling compassion about it, might actually start feeling bad for him, and all of a sudden the empathy is going to overwhelm her in the sense that, like, hey, look, the bio mom, the not even stepsister, half-sister, her sister, and also all the bio moms, like, family coming to her is going to get her to sway to think in their behalf. So it's going to be a situation where she might actually, they'll start chipping away at her, and she'll start thinking, maybe I do need to do this. Is my moral obligation. I guess I don't really need to go to grad school. And all of a sudden it's going to derail her entire life because someone popped up out of nowhere and felt like they were entitled to something. So I could see why she's being harsh to the sister, in the sense that she doesn't want to be swayed from her initial knee-jerk response. So is it the right thing to do? Hey, that's what ethics are, is, like, you know, competing values of what's right and wrong. So, I mean, this was one of the more harder topics to cover. And the thing is, though, is, like I said, I wanted to introduce at the very end of these stories is the decoy decision, the subscriber sentencing, letting me know what the punishment would be. And honestly, it's just, we're taking this case and we're throwing it out. One person was convicted, the antagonist, but you know what? At this point in time, there's nothing we could do, even if it's just a joke on our end to say something funny. There's nothing you could do that's going to make her situation worse than it is. They probably don't even have the money to be flying all the way out to UC, Santa Barbara, or Berkeley, wherever she was. They don't have the money to be going all the way out anyway. So the decision is no further punishment. You guys we're just throwing out the case. Like, there's nothing else we could do beyond what this is right now. But like I always say, I appreciate everybody coming out here, subscribing to this channel, letting me know that you do appreciate the comments and giving me feedback, because a lot of you guys are helping me make the channel better, especially the subscribers that came in around 500 and have been here since I've hit 1K. You guys have seen the channel evolve, so hopefully the channel continues to evolve and get better. But I mean, if you guys want more information, give me more feedback, fill out surveys, go to DecoyNoise.com. We got more of the videos over there, and also just stick around because we got another episode coming up right now.